Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Coding with T. Today we're going to learn how to create custom search bar and also how to create horizontal scrollable categories in Flutter. So first of all, let's quickly have a look what we are going to create. Okay, so our application is running. Okay, so we are inside our login screen and in here we are just going to use the Google sign in method. Click on it, select your email and we are login with our main application. And in here you can see in the previous tutorial we learn how to create this custom app bar with the custom shape at the background. So in today's tutorial, we are going to design this custom search bar. You can see in the white background, we are going to design it in a way that it can be reusable throughout our this application or for other future applications. Because if you go to the store, you can see we have also used the same custom search bar over here. So we are going to design this custom search bar in a way that it can be reused. After that, same in today's tutorial, we're going to create this scrollable categories with a background, which is white background with a text at the bottom. And you can see when text is going to be bit large or it is exceeding the limit, it will be using the ellipsis of our Flutter text. So we'll also try to make it responsive as well as adaptive design. So let's get started. If you're following the series, you know we are creating Flutter e-commerce application and we are inside our section 3. In first section, we have configured and set up our project, and then in the section 2, we learn how to design the login sign up part. So if you're new, you can watch the previous videos and also you can get the playlist linked down below from the description. And also if you want to download the code or get the source code for free, the link of that starter kit is also provided in the description. So without wasting time, let's get started with today's tutorial. Open Android Studio and we are inside the project we created in our e-commerce application. So in here you can see in the previous tutorial we learn how to create this home app bar which is inside the widgets, which is over here in the home app bar dart, and we learn how to create a custom app bar using the preferred size widget, and also created the card counter icon which is over here. So let's go to the home.dart and start with the today's tutorial, which is the search bar. To create a custom search bar, first of all, if you remember that we are going to create that inside our header container, which is the custom header, and you see we have a stack, and inside that stack we have that background design which we have created, and inside that we have created a column, and in that column we first created our app bar which is right on top of our design. And now down below we are going to create the search bar. To create a search bar or the custom search bar, we are going to use this container. So first of all, let's give the width of this container. To assign the full width, we have already created device utils dot get screen width, pass the context, and this is going to return us a complete width of our application. So at the top, just remove this constant, add constant next to this home app bar, and the arrow is gone. So width is given. Now let's add some padding inside our search bar. So we are going to use aginsects dot all, and I'm going to use the medium size. So let's go to the sizes, and you can see the medium size is 16. Let's add a constant. Okay, inside this container, because we have to make it circular to give the radius, and also to add a border, we have to use the decoration property. Use the box decoration, and inside first thing, let's add a color dot transparent for now. But when we're going to reuse that widget or create a custom widget, we will switch that color and make it reusable for other applications. If we are going to need color in case, then we have to add a border or the border radius. So let's add border radius dot circular, and as a card radius we are going to use card radius dot large. Let me show you as well. In the sizes class, same, we have a property which is card radius, which is again 16. After that we have to add border and use the border dot all property. As a color of the border, I'm going to use the gray color. Okay, once the site decoration is done, let me also run this application. Okay, so our application is running. Let's go to the login, click on the sign in, and you can see we have a transparent border, and also it's being fetching to the border. So to wrap this container with a padding, because we have to make sure that all the elements inside the screen should use the same side space. So let's use the sizes dot default space, but not from the all side, but we only want this space to be in the horizontal sides. So in the horizontal, we are going to pass this space, default space, which is 24. So let's save it, and you can see our design is now aligned. To add space behind or below this app bar, not behind, sorry, use the constant. We are going to use the size box, and give it a height space between sections. And also let me show you this. It is 32.0. Let's save the code. Okay, so space added. Now inside this padding, let's start adding a row because we want to add icon and then a text. So for that, because we want to align elements in a horizontal direction, so we have to use the row as a child of this container. Inside the row, use the children, and the first property is the icon. We're going to use the icons X, which is the search normal, and then because have to pass the color. Let's say we're going to use the gray color over here. Let's save the code, and our icon is added. Next to this icon, we have to give some space or horizontal space. So we are going to again size box. This time use the width property, and we're going to use the space between items, not between sections. So let's save it. Space is added. Next, create a text, add a constant at the top. Okay, I've added the text with a search in store and style theme as applied with a body small. Let's save the code, and you can see we have text appeared, but let me just change this transparent color to colors.white, or we are going to use our own colors. Tcolors.white. Let's save it, and you can see we have successfully applied the background color. Now we have to change this color as well. So let's make it darker gray, save the code, and our text and icon is pretty much visible. So our container with the search bar is ready. Now right click on this padding, refactor, extract as a Flutter widget, rename it as the search container, refactor, and we have our own search element created. Let's add a constant. Now in here, there are two things that you have to learn. Let me go to this store screen, and you can see this store screen don't have anything like the background, and also we're not using this search bar on a blue background, right? So same way, if in future we have to reuse that widget on other functions or in other applications, we might have some other scenarios. So while creating reusable widget, which we can reuse in separate projects, so you have to keep this in mind that this widget can be reused or designed in a way that it can be reused in any case. So let me show you. In here, first of all, let's create the properties. We don't want the background to be fixed. We don't want the border color to be fixed, and also text to be fixed. So in here, I've created a text icon. So just copy it and replace it with a fixed text. Same, just copy this icon, replace it with the icon over here, remove this constant. You see this icon is nullable. So if in case or in some other project, or if even this in this project you don't want to use the icon, you don't have to pass any icon, or you just have to use the icon which you want. And also down below you see we have two boolean variables, which is a show background and show border. So if in case we don't want to show the border or the background, so we can easily deal with this. So first of all, let's go to the show background. Let's see, this is the background color. So add show background over here, add a question mark. If show background is true, then we have to check that if it is a dark mode or the light mode. So based on that, we have to switch the colors. So at the top, inside this build method, first of all, let's create a variable which is going to return us the state of the brightness of our application, which is light or dark mode. So let's say dark mode is equal to thelper functions. Import this library thelper functions dot is dark mode. So this is going to return us true if the dark mode is enabled and false if it is not. If you want to show the background, then we are going to check that if it is a dark mode, we are going to show the dark color, else we are going to show the light color, which is white. So this is a dark, and let's change this white to the light color. Okay, next, if you don't want to show the background, then we are going to use the simply color dot transparent. If show background is true, it is going to decide it is light mode or dark mode, then apply the relevant color. And if we don't want to show this background, we just have to use this else property, which is the transparent. And same, let's add the border. In the border dot all, first of all, if we want to show the border, this will be the border, else border will be now. So it means that we don't want to show any border. Same, we can use the dark mode for this border as well over here for the colors. But for now, let's keep it gray. Okay, once these values are applied over here, let's add them in the constructor. So whenever we are going to use this class or use this widget, it's all up to us to pass these values. The value which is required is a text, and also show background and show border is required. So we can remove this required as well. So let's say we already have a design ready and we don't want to repeat that values over here inside our container at the top. So what we can do is we can remove this required from here, and let's say we are going to by default show background is equal to true. and same for the show border is equal to true. So we're going to use these values. It is not going to be required any longer. So what is required is a text. At the top, you can see in the search container, only text is required. When you hover over this, you have to pass text, which is a required keyword. Icon is nullable. Show background and show border is by default. We have provided something. And once the text is provided, you see the error is gone. Now let's save the code and you see our icon color is gone or disappear because we don't have that icon. So let me also provide the default icon, which will be the icon search normal. And if you want to use that icon, you just have to call this icon and you can pass any icon you like. So that default icon will be replaced. Now let's save the code and you see the icon is right over there. Okay, now let's extract it. Let's go to the custom shapes in the containers. Let's create a new file, name it search container.dart, import material.dart and paste the code, import required libraries, press Ctrl Alt L and that's it. We are done. Let's go to the home.dart, import this search container. So our search container is ready. Let's add some space as well down below the search container and now we can start creating our categories. For the categories in the previous search container we provided the padding on the both sides, but for the categories we are not going to provide the space on the both sides, but we will only keep the space on the left side because we want the scrollable categories can scroll throughout that screen on the right side. So in the padding as in sets dot only, and we will use the left side and again which will be the default space from the left side. Then as a children of this padding we have to create a column because first thing is a heading, then inside that heading we have to create scrollable categories. So that's why we need to use the column. Inside the column add children's, Control Alt L. In the children's, the first thing is a heading. So I have created a text with the popular categories and style theme is headline small. Let me remove this constant, add a constant on others, widgets. Okay, because we want this text to be reusable, which is the heading text. And let me also show you on the screen. Okay, because we want to reuse the heading again and again on different sections. So why not create a separate widget? So that's why let me show you. Inside this function, you see we have a popular categories heading. Then down below, we have a popular products heading with a next button, which is view all. If we go to the store, again, you see featured brands and again a view all button. Down below, let me show you, you might like, again, we have a view all button. So because we want to use this heading again and again, so why not create a separate widget, which will be the section heading, or you can name it anything. So this heading is not going to exceed max lines. So let's provide the max lines as 1. Then if it is going to exceed its space, so overflow will be ellipsis, which is going to add dots when it is going to exceed its limits. And the second thing we have to create is a button, not in here, which where the button is not required over here, but it might be required in other places. So let me also wrap this text with a row because in the row we want to first show the text and then show the button if we want to show it. So let's wrap it with the row. After this text, create a text button. On press is currently null and text is the button title. So let me just right click on this row, refactor extract it as a Flutter widget and let me name it as the section heading. And now we can easily use this section heading throughout our project without redoing anything. We will same apply the theme. We don't have to worry about the theme, the lines, the ellipses or its responsiveness. So we can easily manage all things over here. To reuse this on different locations, the first thing we required is a text, then button text and also this on press over here. So you see we have a title, button title, on press of that button. Text color might be different. In here we are using the white background and then we are going to use the black background. So that's why we need to use this text color as well. So let me assign these properties for the text color. Right after this heading, add exclamation mark dot apply property, and in the color we are going to pass this text color property, which will be provided from the widget wherever it is going to be used. This show action button is a boolean, so we have to use it over here. Let's scroll up. Show action button. If we want to show this action button, that's fine. Else we don't want to show it, provide the null. So the better way to do is you just have to create the if statement and inside you have to use show action button. If the if is true, we are going to display this text button. And let me also replace this title as well with the button title. Remove this constant. Also remove this text with the title. On press will be replaced with this on pressed. So once everything is done, go to the section heading, click on add final arguments. So on press is being passed over here, which is nullable. If you want to pass the on pressed, you can pass it over here. If you don't want to pass it, not the user, wherever we are going to use this. So it's optional. Text color is again an optional. Button title is view all for most of the cases, but if you want to pass the button title, you can pass it. Same title is required. So only thing which is required is a title. Show action button is by default false, or let's make it by default true, because most of the cases we are displaying that show action button. So in the section heading, when you hover over it, we are required with the title, popular categories, and in this case, we don't want to show this action button. So let's make it false. We can easily extract this widget. So let's go to the common in the widgets. Let me create another folder for a package, name it text, because all the text widgets will be inside this directory. So let's create a file, section heading dot dart, import material dot dart, paste the file, import anything, but nothing is required. Control Alt L to align. Let's close this, go to the home, and we can easily import the heading. Okay, once the heading is created, we want to give a small space. So let's just copy and paste the size box again with the height not between the sections, but a small space, which is a space between items. Space between item is the half of space between sections. So down below, we are going to create the scrollable categories, because categories are horizontally scrollable. So that's why we are going to use the list view. And for the list view, there are two ways to use this list view. One way is to use the list view in a manual way and add all the properties manually, but we're not going to use the manual method. We are going to use the list view.builder, which help you to easily attach your backend categories. So we are not going to fetch the categories from the backend in this tutorial because it is a design tutorial. So I'll teach you that how you can get the categories from your local storage, and you can easily replace that controller one function, and you can get all the values from your Firebase, SQL, or from any function. So let's create listview.builder. As an item builder, we first have a context which we don't need, and then we have the index, which is actually going to highlight current item. Control Alt L. So first of all, before going to create an item builder, so the first thing which is required is the item count. So before we are going to create a function for the backend, let's just give some value, which is the item count for 6. Okay, now because we want to make it horizontally scrollable, so we have to pass the scroll direction, which is the axis dot horizontal. And now inside this item builder, let's start designing our category. For the category, we have two things: circular image at the top or circular icon at the top. Then we have text at the bottom. So for the vertical alignment, we are going to use the column. In the vertical column children's, the first thing is a circular image. So to create a circular image, we are going to use this container with an height of 56. Padding will be from all sides, edge insets dot all, and we're going to use the t sizes dot small, which is 8.0. Let's add a constant because we want to make it circular, and also add a background. So we have to use this decoration, use a box decoration, add a color and a border radius, not a border radius, and border radius will be border radius dot circular. We can easily give 56 to make it circular. So let's give it 100. Let's save the code, but we have some issues because we want to return this column. So return it, error should be gone. Let's save it, and you can see something pushed at the top because there's a reason. ListView.builder is not allowing us to use the space provided. So for that, we have to do one more thing over here. First of all, in the list view, let's try to add shrink wrap to true because it should not add all the space. So let's save it. Nothing change. To make this list view work, we have to wrap this list view with a widget, which is a size box. The reason is that currently it don't have any fixed size because the vertical height is not limited in the list view, because list view by default is scrollable. Then we also have a column at the top. So that's why we have to provide a fixed height. So it cannot get any unbounded height. So let's pass the height as 80, save the code. And you see we have how many items? We have 6 item counts over there, and they are creating a circular shape. So we only have a created container. Now inside this container, as a child, we want to add an image. It should be center. As a center child, let's create an image. It will be the asset image, which we are going to pass in a few minutes. And then again, inside this image, we have to use the fit property, box fit dot cover. And also we can pass the color property. For the light mode, colors of each image color should be in the white. So for now, let's pass the dark color. Let's use the team.sport icon, and when you go to this image strings down below in the utils constants, you can see over here in the image strings, I have added all the icons which we are going to use as a category icons. So at the top, you first have to go to the assets. In the icons, you will get all the category icons. You can again get all the assets for free. Link is down below in the description. So once you have everything in here, you just have to go to the pubspec.yaml file, and in here, the way we have added these paths, you just have to add the brands and categories as well. So let's go to icons. In the categories, right click, copy path reference, path from content root, and we can easily paste it over here. Make sure to add forward slash. Now we can easily extract the categories or use all the categories. Okay, once done, so pubspec has been changed. Click on get dependencies or run the Flutter pub-get. Okay, here you can see our heading and also all the icons with the images being displayed. Now let's save it, and you see I changed the icon to shoe icon, and you see all the icons has been replaced. Now our container is ready, which we can call as a header. Circular icon at the top. Now we have to add a text at the bottom. So first we need to add a space between items, and also we're going to divide that space to half. Okay, for the text, I use the theme which is the label medium, but again for to apply a color, because we have a background which is blue, so we have to apply a color which will be white color. Now let's save it, and you see all the categories have their own text. So in here, one more thing is that let's say we have a category name which is a little larger, shoes category. Now when we are going to save this, you see that our design is not as the design we want, which is although scrollable, but it is not taking the equal space. So to overcome this issue, you just have to wrap this text with a widget, which is a size box widget. And as a width of the size box, we are going to provide the 55, which is the maximum width. And now you see that our categories are definitely not exceeding the 55 width, but our text is not going to be the ellipsis text. Now inside this text, control alt L to align. And after this style, we have to pass the max lines as one, overflow as ellipses. When you save the code, you see that we have a single dots, and also the max line is not going to exceed the two lines, so our error is gone. Okay, now to add space between each category, we can simply wrap this column, or you can also use the ListView dot separator. So let's wrap this column with a padding, change dot all with the dot only, and on the right side of each category, we're going to use the space between items. Now when you save it, you see we have an equal space between all the categories, and also at the top we have to change the heading text color to white, and let's save it. So our design is pretty much ready. Okay, as we are going to reuse this icon with a text in multiple places, so why not create a separate widget? So click on this padding, go to refactor and extract as a Flutter widget. Going to name it PT vertical image text. Click refactor and add a constant. And in here, we are not going to redo the design. We only have to pass the image title and when this category is going to be tapped. So three things mainly, so image title and also the on tap with a text color and also the background color, which is also required. Let's add these values in the constructor and also replace these values over here. And for the on tab, when you click on this padding, right click, create a widget, which is a gesture detector. And inside this gesture detector, let's add the on tab and pass the on tab to it. So whenever this is on tab is going to be tapped, it is going to trigger for the single category. So I've added all these elements right down below over here. Control Alt L. Let's add the default text color, which is the white. And at the top in the vertical image, we have to pass the required attribute, which is image, which is the shoe icon. Remove this constant. Next, we have to pass the title. and definitely on tab, which is currently not going to do anything, but later on it will lead us to the subcategories of this specific category, invalid constant. So you have to remove this constant. Let's save the code, and you see the background color is also needed. So by default we are going to assign this background color as the white color. Now let's save it, and you see it's working pretty fine. And down below in the background color, if background color is required, then we are going to use this background, which is not null. Then we are going to use this background color. Otherwise, this double question mark means that if this value is null, use this value. So we are going to use the dark mode. We're going to check if it is dark mode. We will use the black color. Otherwise, we are going to use the white color. So same, we can change the image color as well. Currently, you see it's a dark color. So we can replace that color with the by checking the dark mode. If the dark mode background color will be black, so the icon color or the image color will be white. So it's a vice versa. So I have created a variable at the top instead of reusing these values down below over here. So which can be simply replaced with the dark mode, Control Alt L. So we have a circular icon, we have a text with a gesture detector, and vertical image text has been created, which can also be used in the search and multiple other locations. Okay, in the common widgets, go to the widgets, and I have created a new directory which is the image text widgets, and I have pasted the simple class over here. So and go to the home.dart, in the vertical text image, import this library, and we are good to go. Okay, now for the future video or for the backend video, which is in the next section, we are going to learn how to fetch all these categories from the Firebase. And then we are going to definitely use a controller to show a list of categories right over here. Okay, also to keep the design clean, right click, refactor, and we are going to create these categories as well for a separate widget. So the home categories, and we can remove it inside the home widgets because it's specifically related to the home. So inside the home widgets, create a new file, home categories.dart, import the material library, paste the code, import the vertical image text, Control Alt L to align, and inside the home.dart, we can simply import the libraries. And you see our code is pretty much clean, add a constant. So that's it. We'll learn today to create search bar or a custom search bar, reusable search bar. So you can also go to this padding and also wrap it with a widget using gesture detector. So create this on tab method and use the gesture detector to paste it over here. And again, it's nullable, so it's all up to the widget where we're going to use this. So for now, currently this search container on tab is not going to lead us anywhere, but in future, we're definitely going to use it. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you learned something new. If you learned something new, please like the video. And you can once again get or download the complete code from the description below. You can directly get it from the codingvt.com. You can get the link from the description. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care. Allah Hafiz.